Hi everyone, I'm back with another unique tarot deck review. The beauty I'm about to show you today is the Tarot of the Silicon Dawn. It is created by artist Margaret Croft, who also goes by the name Egypt or Nash. While there is a lot of fantastic weirdness happening in this deck, the ultimate feature that qualifies it for the unique tarot playlist is its physical composition. Like the first two decks in this series, there is something particular to the material used that gives it a distinct look and feel not found in any other decks that I've ever seen. The artist's website describes this deck as possessing hidden images that only appear when the light hits it just right. This effect is achieved by having clear ink printed on certain areas on some of the cards. In some cards, this clear printing gives the cards an extra layer of texture and enriches the existing imageries. An example is found in the High Priestess. As you can see, while this is a fun feature, its effect is primarily decorative and doesn't change or add to the card's meaning. There are, however, other cards in which the clear printing does enhance the meaning of the cards. An example is the High Priest. Under the right lighting, you can see that the symbol of the pentacle is superimposed on top of the figure. This symbol enhances the meaning of this card by reinforcing this character's magical ability because, in some interpretations, the pentacle is a sign of mastery over the elements. Other cards in which the clear printing gives additional meanings to the cards are the Fools, and we'll get to those cards a bit later on in this video. But before we get to that, we need to discuss this deck's unique structure. This is a fun big little deck with a bunch of extra cards. Each suit in the Minor Arcana has an extra card numbered 99. In addition, there's also an extra suit called the Void and Beyond. The website says that there's a total of 99 cards, which makes it a pretty thick deck. However, the thickness is compensated for by the size of the cards. These cards measure 4 inches in length and just under 2 1/4 in width, making it a breeze to shuffle. We are going to start with the cards numbered 99. Personally, I see these as the epitome cards that really sum up the nature of each suit. While not printed on the cards themselves, the guidebook gives a name to each minor arcana card, and the 99s of each suit is no exception. In the Suit of Cups, the 99th card is called Recursion. Prior to reading the guidebook for this deck, I had no idea what that word meant, so naturally, I looked it up. According to the University of Utah Collard School of Computing, recursion means defining a problem in terms of itself. Wikipedia tells us that recursion occurs when the definition of a concept or process depends on a simpler or previous version of itself. I don't know about you, but that didn't clarify anything up for me. I'm still not entirely sure I understand this concept. However, I can make an inference based on the card's image. This card shows 99 wine glasses on top of several walls and 3 women joyously toasting each other. To me, the message here is that happiness is a form of recursion. In other words, joy begets joy. When we share our happiness with others, and when we are able to be truly happy for our friends' good fortune, we multiply happiness. Next, we have the 99 of Swords. Its meaning is fission, which is another scientific term. Essentially, it is the act of dividing or splitting something up. In physics, when a nucleus goes through fission, it releases a large amount of energy, and this is the basic working principle of the atomic bomb. In terms of how it applies to this card, the guidebook talks about the threat of nuclear war. In particular, about how it's still a threat, but no one really thinks about it anymore. It ends by saying, some things are too huge to take seriously. I think this really sums up the essence of the Suit of Swords. To me, this suit is primarily about the troubles caused by our minds. We live in a really complicated and messed up world. There are so many ways in which humanity is driving itself into extinction, and if we really think about any of those things for too long, it can drive us insane. And that is the irony of sanity. This card is a reminder that we need to break down our personal problems and all the problems of the world into bite sized chunks and focus on things that we have control over. The third card in this section is the 99 of Pentacles, subtitle Extent. The guidebook calls this card the Lord of Every Extent. Its upright meaning is a free man, and in its ill aspect, it speaks of the loss of all our power ups. I think this card is a sum of everything we've worked towards. It is the accumulation of all our willpower and hard work. It marks the height of all our potential, beyond that of the Ten of Pentacles. Whereas the Ten of Pentacles speaks about a certain outcome, this card describes the feeling of control and empowerment that drives all our successes and achievements. Last but not least is the 99 of Wands. The name of this card is Starseed, and it shows a happy green fetus floating in space amongst a myriad of Earth-like planets. This card is about transcendence, of the possibility and the belief that there is more than life on this earth in this physical form of existence. It's the stuff of mysticism and religion, of faith and hope. For many, it's the reason for living and the source of our strength during rough and uncertain times. Ultimately, it's the card about belief begetting reality, the essence of the suit of wands. We are who we are because we believe we are who we are. The suit of void is perhaps the most interesting but also the darkest cards in the deck. It's an incomplete suit which comprises of 5 cards, 4 court cards, and 1 card 0. The 4 court cards are almost entirely black with clear ink. In angles where you can't see the ink, the only thing you can see are the gray printing on the top and bottom of each card, which are just lines with letters on the end of those rows to designate the court member. These cards also differ from the rest of the deck in that their images are horizontal. We begin with the Queen of Void. While the queens are associated with water, this scene takes place in a desert, highlighting the essence of this suit. It's a party, but there's no joy. The glasses are all empty. When the queen removes her mask, there is nothing underneath. This is all that's left of a departed mother. It is a love you cannot feel, even though you know you should. After the queen comes the king. Here, we see an empty spacesuit floating in space. When the helmet comes off, we see nobody inside. Only a puff of air is released. This is the card of a departed soul, when there's absolutely nothing left, not even a ghost. It's more lonely and empty than all the other cards. It is the card of the departed father, representing the wisdom that can't be passed on. Next, we have the Chevalier of Void. This image shows a person standing in the midst of a sunset. There's no fire in the sun and no ambition left in this person. And without ambition, there would be no accomplishment. Unlike the Queen of Void, who at least bothers to put on a mask, there is absolutely nothing left in this person. No hope, no energy, not even the little it takes to tell a little white lie. And last, there's the progeny of the void. Here, we see a barren, rocky wasteland. The only signs of anything that resembles life is the robotic limbs hanging from the top of the image. But is this the progeny of humanity? Or is it Saturn's child, here to annihilate its creators? Just as the queen and king are the bygone parents, this progeny is the child we never had. Another way to put it, this is the child without a parent. When this card comes up, we're asked, who wasn't there for us? And who aren't we there for? After the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse comes the Zero of Void. It shows a single butterfly with a ribbon trailing behind it. After the seemingly hopeless void, this card feels refreshing and hopeful. It's a small and fragile butterfly, but it's also the beginning of something. In of itself, it might not be much, but it can be. You know what they say about the butterfly effect. The vortices of the butterfly's wing could be the root of a tropical storm halfway across the world. As frighteningly empty as the void is, this card is a reminder that the void is the chaos from which order and life arises. In addition to the 499 cards and the suit of void, there are also some additional major arcana cards. We begin with the various fools. The first of these is a rough sketch of the fool. Here, she is uncertain, fumbling off the edge of a cliff, not at all ready to take the leap. If we view the card in just the right way, we see that there's a set of invisible butterfly wings on her, symbolizing her emergence out of the void and ready to begin something new. The next fool to grace this deck is the pregnant fool. Her nose is buried deep within a book, symbolizing her readiness to learn. On her back is also a set of invisible butterfly wings. However, she is far from ready to take on the world. The book she's reading is disintegrating, making you wonder how much knowledge is she really retaining. And seeing the way she is walking right off the cliff without any awareness of the dangers before her, we begin to understand that one cannot fully prepare for the realities of the world through reading alone. At some point, we must stop relying on others' knowledge and experience the world for ourselves. After the foolishly ill-prepared fool comes the experienced fool. This isn't her first rodeo, and it seems like she's finally ready to take that leap. She's got wings on her back and a loyal and fiery spirit animal cheering her on. The only problem is that there is a tentacled monster right at her heels. Does it have her wrapped up in one of its arms? Is she really going to make it this time? Or is all the book knowledge just making her overconfident and dismissive of the dangers of reality? Just when it feels like the cycle is complete, our heroine is the fool once again. This time around, she is fully aware of all the dangers she can experience. In fact, she's too aware. It's all she can think about. So afraid of making mistakes and being caught by the monsters that she can only look backwards. Looking at this card, we can't help but wonder if she'll ever learn. Or perhaps this is the result of learning. The more we know, the more we become aware of the true extent of our ignorance. Here are the other extra cards in this deck. There's card X, History, which stands in contrast to the Fortune. While Fortune implies things beyond our control, this card is the opposite. It is the stories we tell ourselves that controls our thoughts, attitudes, and action. You see that she is bound by her own words. Next, we have two cards that complement card 8, which in this deck is called Fortitude. In card 8.5, we have a hermaphrodite whose genitalia is overlaid with a clear butterfly. The next card, She is Legend, also depicts a person with ambiguous sexuality, symbolizing that everything is fluid and this person is pure potential. Rather than speaking of actual sexuality and gender, I see this card to mean that we're at a point of our lives in which we can manifest any and all of our potentials. In addition to Fortitude, another card that has a Roman numeral alternate is Death. In this version, it is the Vulture. In a way, this card feels like one of those New Age version of the Death card that focuses on the rebirth aspect, except that this card presents it in a more holistic and realistic way. Instead of being all light and love, it shows a vulture which survives off carrion. It's not pretty, but it's part of the cycle of life. The last card in the cards of the Beyond is Aleph, which is the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Here is the fool once again, except this time her wings are visible for all to see. She's learned another lesson from history, and this time she is in control of the story. She breaks all molds and decides her own destiny. She's not being pushed or rushed off the cliff. Instead, she ascends. The minor arcana in this deck is based on a variety of influences, including both Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth. In addition to traditional influences, the artist also takes some liberty and makes changes as she sees fit. One of the biggest changes in this deck is that the suit of wands is associated with the earth element while the pentacles are paired with fire. According to the guidebook, the artist feels that the bounty of the earth feels like a much better association with wands and pentacles. While I think this is an interesting change, for all practical purposes, it doesn't really affect the way I read these cards. One feature I really like about the minors is that all the aces features people with masks. To me, I see this to mean that our fates are undecided and possessing the possibilities of all that our imaginations and ambitions are capable of. I mentioned earlier in this video that the website notes there are 99 cards in this deck, but I've counted it again and again and it only adds up to 95. In addition to the traditional 78 cards, there are 3 extra Fools, 5 cards in the Suit of Void, 5 extra Major Arcana, and 4 extra Minor Arcana. This doesn't really bother me though, as I see this being a part of the weirdness that is this deck. Overall, I think this deck has one of the most unique and interesting vibes. Although there's much joy expressed in many of the cards, it's not one of those new age positive decks. If anything, this joy borders on a sense of reckless abandonment that feels kind of creepy. A perfect example is the Three of Swords. This card displays an addiction to pain that I've never seen before. Instead of swords piercing through a heart, here it's piercing through her womb, killing her potential for creation. Yet, she can't seem to get any happier. Other cards with this same feeling of overzealousness are the 3 and 7 of Cups. While the Seven of Cups is understandable since the meaning is debauch, the Three of Cups gives me the feeling that perhaps they're having a little too much fun. But this deck isn't all fun and games, preaching unchecked irresponsibility. We see the regret that comes after thoughtlessness in the Eight of Cups and the sheer terror our minds can reach in the Ten of Swords. To me, this is a deck that have no trouble telling us the raw, painful truths. It's not afraid to curse, to offend, and to hurt. If you're looking for a deck that is all light and love and filled with assurances, this deck isn't for you. But if you're ready for a reality check and a good kick in the butt, this might be just what you're looking for. It's brutally honest. And just like the devil, it really doesn't care about your feelings. It's here to offer you a bit of its wisdom because you asked for it. If you decide that you don't like what you discover and want to go back to happy oblivion, feel free to walk away. I promise you it won't be offended. This is one of my favorite decks of all time, and I can't recommend it enough. Unfortunately, at the time of this filming, it is out of print. However, the artist's website states that she is considering doing a reprint, and if you're interested, send her a note to let her know. The more requests she receives, the more likely it'll happen. I hope you do like this deck and do take the time to let her know. I know I'll be first in line to pick up another copy if another run is scheduled. Drop a comment to let me know what you think. And if you liked and or found this review helpful, hit the like button and please consider subscribing to my channel for more tarot related content. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.